Hey guys, it's just another gorgeous day here on the Central Coast, and we're looking even more appropriate today with our Keller red on because of our fun morning. Nice headband, Jordan.
Thank you. Yeah, we participated in Red Day today. It's the Red Day 2020 quarantine version, but every year Keller Williams participates in Red Day, and it is a day that we get to serve our community and work together in whatever way we can to help those in need.
Yeah, and this year we chose the food bank as our charity of choice, and our office all got together and donated money, and our office matched some of the funds, and we donated a big check to them today. The amount was $3,300, and that money will feed a family of 4 for 5 years.
Yeah, it's just incredible. We always do an amazing job, and it always makes me so proud. And this year was no different, even though we couldn't do something with our hands. Like we've done in the past with building bills for Habitat for Humanity or blood drives, but we did an amazing thing, 12,000 meals. It'll really go a long way when the food bank really needs it. So yay us.
Yeah. Yay.
So I'm excited for another episode of Living Pismo Beach, and today we have the city manager for Pismo Beach, Jim Lewis, joining us. He's been in that role for 7 years, coming from previous positions with the city of Atascadero and the city of Claremont, where he demonstrated his passion for public service and building sustainable organizations efficiently.
Yes, in all of these positions, Jim was successful in transforming downtowns and building pride and positive relationships among business owners, community groups, neighborhoods, and the city.
Jim also serves as president of the League of California Cities City Managers Department. He has served as president of the Municipal Management Association of Southern California, and he is currently an active board member on the Rotary Club of Pismo Beach 5 Cities. On a personal note, Jim is a winemaker and a husband and a father of 2 cuties.
All right, well, let's have him join us.
Well, let's jump right in. It's great to see you, Jim. Can you tell us a little bit of your history and how you chose city management as your career path, and what led you to Pismo Beach?
Sure. Thanks, Shannon. And I really appreciate being part of your show. And I really appreciate the service you all give to the community.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
You each do some great things. And so I'm grateful. Being a city manager isn't something people usually grow up and say they want to be when they're young or when they're more mature for that matter. But, you know, I was bit by a bug pretty much at the age of 18. So I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And I was admitted to the University of Southern California, pre-med. And that was where I started my studies. But right before I graduated from high school, we had something called a Youth and Government Day. And so I was raised in Torrance, California, and all 4 high schools came together, the student councils, and I was the student body president of my high school. That shouldn't be a surprise. And
No.
I really enjoyed leadership and serving and bringing people together. And so we went to this session, and the mayor came out and talked about mayor, and then some of the department heads came out and talked about what a fire chief does and a police chief. And the last person to speak was the city manager. And I'd actually never heard of that. And funny thing, my mother was a public servant. So she was an administrative secretary in the water department and the building and safety department and in the police department. And so I would spend my summers, I was kind of a latchkey kid. Both my parents worked and I didn't have anywhere to go. So I would go to the public library and read because there was no internet back then and no smartphones. And so I'd immerse myself in books. And when I got done with that, I'd walk back over to City Hall where my mom worked and wander the halls and pester people. And I'd always end up in the mayor's office because there was a candy bowl on the mayor's desk. So I knew nothing about a city manager. And it's probably because most people don't. And so when the city manager came at this Youth and Government Day and started talking about how they were the CEO of the city and the leader of the organization, and they got to work in politics and business and really got to be the person who crafted the policies and really implemented the council's vision for their city, it bit me right then and there. I said, that's what I want to do. And so I went to USC and started in pre-med studies and just kind of lost my focus. And so I transferred to public policy and management as a freshman and wanted to be a city manager ever since.
Oh, I love that.
That's a good story. Wow, thank you.
It's very rare. How I was led to Pismo, obviously I love this community. My wife and I felt a real stirring in 2004. We were working in the city of Claremont which is a college town, beautiful college town, quaint downtown, just east of Pasadena.
Mm-hmm.
And we had everything. We had great friends, great church, great home, and we just both felt the stirring. It was time to go. It was like, and the wind blew us. And so we came up here on a weekend trip, like most people do. Went to a few wineries and fell in love with this place. 6 months later, a professional opportunity opened up as assistant city manager and director of economic development for Atascadero. And so I was there for 8.5 years, and I'm very proud of the work we did there, getting Galaxy Theater open and the new Rite Aid Center, and just some of the downtown going, the Carlton Hotel open, the bridge, just so many things we were able to do up there. And I knew very much of Pismo Beach. Obviously, who doesn't? It's a wonderful place. And when the city manager announced his retirement, he gave a year notice, believe it or not. And so I thought, man, that's an opportunity I don't want to pass up. I hope they'll accept me. And so I did throw my hat in the ring. And from the moment I met the city council in my interview, and this was a different city council back then, this was 8 years ago, really felt a connect. And I'm very pleased that they appointed me to be their city manager.
Wow, that's a great story.
So are
Thank
we.
you, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's very nice.
Yeah, and it will, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, it's pretty unusual for city managers to transition with full council changes like that too, right? I mean, a lot of times it's not necessarily a personality thing, it's just new people want new ideas or new blood or something like that, right? So
yeah, so a city manager serves at the pleasure of the city council. I can be released within 24-hour notice. And so while a city manager has a lot of authority and decision-making ability, and for some who may not know, the city manager oversees all city employees. So the police chief, the fire chief, they execute the laws, they administer the government, but you're very accountable to the council, because I like to say that the city manager is hired help. I'm the butler of the community, and the council is the owner. It's their home. I'm their help. And when I get askew, if the council wants a different butler or wants a different garden, and then that's it for that butler. And so to your point, you're right. The council, though, had a manager for 9 years, and he retired, and they appreciated that manager, and they hired me. What's interesting is the council, as you say, very quickly in my term, within a period of 2 and then 4 years, changed that majority. But I would like to think it's a testament to, I don't get involved in politics. I don't take stances on development. I work really hard to listen and craft collaborative policies. And we've built an organization that's really service-oriented. And so regardless of what a council's politics should be, I would hope that I build that trust and transparency in the city government, that they appreciate my service. And to date, they have, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
So we heard about your achievements in Atascadero. Can you tell us some just your favorite achievements you've made as city manager in Pismo?
You know, what I'm proudest of may not be what people would think. And I think that the best thing we can do is what we do to people. And I'm proudest of the organization we have. I'm proud that we have an organization that isn't siloed anymore. Departments work together, they collaborate together, they rally behind each other. People who work here really are committed to a service ethic. We call it legendary service, that our employees give service so good that people can't stop, they can't not talk about it. They want to tell their friend, oh my goodness, when I was dealing with this city employee today, can you believe? And that extends to our water worker and our park worker and the person at the counter. And that's something we as an employee family come together, and I say family, we've really built a great unit of a team here. We meet once a year and we call it 'Cause We're Pismo, where we really talk about how we serve the community, how we serve each other, how we care for each other. We've come up with some very innovative recruitment processes, some onboarding processes, some recognition and retention programs that are very unique for cities. And I'm very proud our council supports those things. And so I think we're a very fun-loving, hardworking, play hard organization that reflects our community. And so I think I'm proudest of that. You know, our retention's through the roof. We've hired great people. When we have recruitments, our positions are very demanded. People want to work for our city. And so I think that's what I'm proudest of. Now, I can't just leave it at that. So I'm going to have to break the question a little bit. The other thing I would say, I'm proudest of our team and our people.
Oh.
But the one thing I would say is we have really invested in the physical place. You know, placemaking is what cities are about. When you think of where you've been and what's special about a city, you think of places. You think of the place you sat with your partner near a fountain, or you think of something you ate as you looked at a family, or you think, and so I think I'm proud that we've been able to create amazing places, whether that was our new pier, or the Shell Beach Streetscape project finishing up, or the plaza, or some of the other the new playgrounds. We've really spruced up the community the last 7 to 8 years, tens of millions of dollars in improvements. And getting the Pismo Preserve open, on and on and on. The quality of life in this community has been great. And I'd like to think we have raised property values a little bit for you.
Oh,
and
that'd be nice.
Who live here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you sort of answered that in my next question, but if you have anything else you want to add to it, what can we look forward to when we can return to enjoying the downtown after our phased reopening?
Well, gee, won't that be nice? I think health and safety is so important, and I know people are frustrated. And let me just say, because I know you have a lot of people that watch this, and first of all, I'm really frustrated how people are leaving our town after they're here for weekends. And so I want to speak to the people who are watching this, that your city hasn't left that unnoticed. And we are redoubling our efforts on trash and cleanliness and getting groups to help us with beach cleanup. And if we don't take care of our town and our pier and our beach and our clean water, what do we have left? And so a lot of my time this week has been spent on how do we keep our town clean and working with the business community. Government can't do it all. It's amazing to me what people want government to do and what they don't want to do. We have to count on the private sector and our nonprofits to help us. And so I really spent a lot of time this week talking about the cleanliness of our community. But to your question, when it's open and when we really can come down and enjoy, I did leave some details out because I thought you might ask this question.
Okay.
So our plaza has 18 restrooms in it. And get this, there's twice as many restrooms for women than men.
Nah.
Yay!
Because as we have events and programs, we recognize that we need to make that accommodation. We also have 5 family restrooms. And so for families, when I have a young family and, when your kids has to use a restroom, you want to be in there with them and get it all taken care of. And so we really tried to create a restroom building that is more functional, has more use, and is not right in the darn center of the downtown. Our new restaurant moved and shifted over. It's attractive. It has the same architecture as the neighboring new hotels. You're going to see pebbles you can sit on. You're going to see game tables where you can play chess. You're going to see concrete cornhole where people can check out bags and have a cornhole round out by the flagpole. But that's not all.
Awesome.
You're going to see these amazing 7-foot tall Pismo Beach letters. That's a great selfie spot you can take a picture in front of. You're going to see a cool kind of a tot interpretive area with a gray whale from Scandinavia. It was imported from here. Kids can crawl through. There's little surfboards on springs you can bounce around on. And there are slides to the beach. Now, let me tell you, you can slide down to the beach.
Boy.
That is going to be cool. So the plaza is going to be amazing. We're also going to have a whole area that's programmable for concerts and farmers markets. It has power. And then we have beautiful palm trees that are uplit. And the lights, believe it or not, are LED and can change color by season. So we can actually have, green and gold lights at St. Patrick's Day or other, amazing red, white, and blue at 4th of July. So the new plaza is going to be really something.
That's awesome. That is so fun.
Wow.
I can't wait. The team has to go take a picture and sliding down that slide.
For sure. For sure.
All right. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what we've been talking about with the transition and the reopening. I haven't listened to every city council meeting, but has any plan been made to address all of the events that we have in the city? We have such a robust event schedule in the city. Or have we talked about walking blocks like the Santa Monica Promenade or something like that to keep the events going, virtual events or anything like that?
So that's a great question. Events are what drive us, right? And so even before the pandemic that we're experiencing, you'll see at the next council meeting on May 19th, I did work with our special events committee because we were getting seasons where there was so many events, they weren't enjoyable and they impacted quality of life. And then we'd have seasons where we should have events and we'd have none. And so we worked with the special events committee, and again, this will be on the agenda May 19th, to try and spread out the events throughout the community and throughout the year where they made sense. And so we're introducing the concept of some legacy events that we'll always have, the 4th of July, the Clam Festival, things like that. And then we're creating kind of caps on certain areas, particularly July, August, September, October. We're very, it's very difficult. And then trying to open some opportunity for events in April and May. And so now that aside, looking at the pandemic, what we've tried to do, Pismo Beach has we're very small, dense downtown, right? With a few streets are tight. And so that makes things very troubling as far as when we need to keep distance from people. And so we did look at closing off streets or trying to do one-way sidewalks. And one thing we've learned is that people are just doing what they're going to do, and it's frustrating from a public health standpoint, but it can be more confusing if you try and control these movements when people are going to do what they're going to do. So we have tried to create areas where businesses can mark the sidewalk to create 6-foot intervals for people so they can queue safely. We've tried to put some additional tables out so families can sit together separated from other families, and so that's been helpful. For some of the events, 4th of July, that was a hard decision to cancel the fireworks show. But under the governor's order, and the governor is in charge, he's laying out all the rules we're following, you just can't have groups like that. There's no way to keep people safe. And so we are putting plans together for events of 10 or less and 50 or less when we can, and how we can do those safely. I'm not going to speak in detail about that, but we are prepared for that. And we are looking at ways we can have events downtown cordoned or quartered so we can help separate people when we're able to do that. So we are trying to talk about some of those things, but I think we're a few weeks away.
Right. And then, of course, the hot button issue of the past week has been the mask ordinance and where everyone falls on that. So I think you have some breaking news about what might be going on in that department.
I do, and your viewers will be the first to see this, I think. So that's pretty exciting, yeah. So the council obviously is very concerned about our community, our residents, our employees. They're concerned about people coming into the community and perhaps bringing COVID-19 with them. And so they've really been concerned. And one of the things the city's councils felt strongly about was some sort of a face covering or a mask ordinance, it's called. But really, how can we get people to cover their face when they're going to be shopping, when they're in tight quarters, when they're in public around people? And I think that, so the council did introduce an ordinance. They did want to try and have an ordinance, an urgency ordinance, so the face covering would go into effect immediately. That required 4 votes, and it didn't have 4 votes. And so an ordinance was read for the first time. I think as people started reading that language and saying, wait a minute, this ordinance means that if someone's in my business and not wearing a mask, it's on me to tell them. And if I don't, or I don't serve them, I could get cited. That doesn't seem right. And so there was a lot of discussion in the community. I went back and talked to some of the council members, and the council members they're very open people, and they're wonderful people. They've been listening. Their email and phones have been ringing off the hook. And we really tried to find, is there a way we could get this implemented again as soon as possible, but that's reasonable and really protects our employees and our people. And so today the council did direct me at a special meeting to come back with another urgency ordinance for Tuesday that does a few things. One, it does require business put up a sign that says show respect, wear a mask, and it cites the ordinance number. And we're hopeful that our visitors will wear masks when they're in our community. They'll see these signs and they'll recognize, before I do business, I should put on a mask to be considerate of the employees who are working in there that are our neighbors and friends. And so 1, it requires that. 2, it requires that employees be provided masks, and that if they cannot keep more than 6 feet away from a person and it's in a public space, the employee needs to wear a mask. And so those are the 2 main components of it. It no longer says that if you have a person in your store that's not wearing a mask and you ask them to and they say no thanks, you can serve them and they can go about their way. And so we clean that part up. Now, if someone is in the store, and we hope stores will encourage and require masks, that's up to them. It's not ordained in the ordinance. The sign and the employee protection is. But if someone gets nasty, if someone says, can you please put a mask on, and they say no, and then the business person says, well, I prefer you leave my store. I want you to wear a mask. And they don't, we will respond to that. The city will respond. That's a disturbing the peace. It's potentially trespassing if a business person asks you to leave the store. I hope we don't get to that. Let's hope we all get through this together. We all decide to wear a mask. It's not a big deal. When we're doing business, we're in closeness with each other. And the sooner we do these things, the sooner we beat this and we can move on with our life. And so that would be my message to people, is that we just need to care for each other and be respectful of each other. And it's easy to get caught up and frustrated. But the ordinance now, going to the council as an urgency ordinance, again, just requires we sign this thing, we encourage each other, and we protect our employees.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic move on the part of the council and yourself. So that sounds like it's more than reasonable in my humble opinion. So, well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of what can only be a crazy busy schedule now with all of this. I can't even imagine. I mean, it must be Zooming all day long. So
All day long.
thank you so much.
Starts about 6:30 and ends about 7:38.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well,
And then
thank you
you've
for
got
your time.
little kids at home. You're homeschooling with your wife too. So
Yes.
that's just amazing. So,
Well,
well, anytime you want to trade the elementary school children though for my 13-year-old, I will gladly drop him off.
Fair enough.
All right. We appreciate you taking the time
Jim.
very much, Jim. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was great to be on your segment, and thank you guys for the service you do in the community. It's nice that we're all working together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
All
Thank
right.
you very much. Bye-bye.
Awesome. All right. So that was a great episode. I very much enjoyed hearing all things Pismo Beach from Jim Lewis. And stay tuned. We will have another exciting episode next week on Fridays at noon. So this is Ashlea Boyer,
Jordan Hamm,
and Shannon Bowdey
with the Pismo Beach.